was great.
All right.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm pumped for this call.
Yeah, we are too.
Should be good.
Good afternoon. We're ready.
All right.
I just grabbed a drink of water.
All right. Yeah. So we've got Dave and Pablo and Wanda all here, and we've got two outed starting this Q&A, and we also do have a giveaway at the end. I just wanted to let everybody know. So I'll just hand it over to two outed, and let's get this started.
Oh, sounds great. Thanks, Joe. Like Joe just said, Dave Massey, CEO of SIRC. We've got Wanda Witolowski. Forgive me, Wanda, if I have mispronounced your last name. And
That's okay.
Pablo, newly appointed president of SIRC. So, Wanda, excited to have you on board. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. So, for everybody on the call, I put together a PDF document. It's in the SIRC Q&A questions, guys. We're going to go through that, but I wanted to, Dave, Wanda, Pablo, let you guys kind of pick the category where you'd like to jump in here.
My screen's brushed up. I just logged in and I don't see the different categories. Where would we see those?
Click on this.
So click on that.
Yeah, no problem. And I can step you through it if you don't have it up in front of you. Why don't we start with, we can just go right at the top there to Plemco if you'd like. Start with the EV questions. Does that work for you guys?
Oh, yep, that's great. I see them. You got Plemco Financial Sales.
Exactly. Yeah.
You did a good job. It's very organized.
Well, let it be said, I am not very organized, so I'm happy you think so.
Pablo and I are used to willy-nilly.
Well, here we go. If you guys are good with it, let's jump in here because we've got about 150 questions here. So I'm exaggerating. What is the roadmap for the EV division? By that, I mean, what's the plan and what's the ultimate goal for Plemco?
We're going to let Pablo answer that. He's taking that project over and doing an amazing job. So let's let him answer that.
So glad to be back with our shareholders. We have a new CEO in place at Plemco, Brad. His name is Brad. We call him Brad R. And he's got a wealth of knowledge and history, extensive resume, and just been, in the executive leadership role for many years. So we're going to keep what we always had for the last 17 years, which was the federal RFP type of projects, governmental projects and whatnot. But we're also adding another unit, which is a commercial unit. Think of solar, but for EV. We're going to have proposal tools. Any commercial entity that has a parking lot, it should be a revenue center on their balance sheets versus a cost line item. We've structured commercial financing for this program, and the same concept that solar was able to blow because you had revenue centers through energy with subsidies. It's the same thing for EV units. We've got a great business plan that's going to scale out to small and mid-cap size commercial entities, create those parking lots into revenue centers for these commercial entities without having to do anything but sign a signature. We'll have structured capital in place and all the solutions so that a customer that owns a parking lot can easily say yes.
Excellent. That's a good segue into the next question there about how many EV charging installs Plemco has already completed this year, and then looking forward estimates for next year.
Well, to discuss what the new business plan with attached performers and economics that are in place, we anticipate to do 23 million year one. We just launched the program and already they have one national campaign. It's with a I can't share we're under NDA to not share the national brand, but they own 200 apartment complexes nationwide. They're going to start with the Portland facility once we do a good job there. they're going to go on to the rest of their facilities nationwide. But take a quick moment. That's one of the powers of these ecosystems that have been created, these alternative energy ecosystems. That relationship came from USA Solar Networks' solar division, commercial solar division, that installed a solar system there, a commercial solar system there. So the cross-pollination of different assets between the companies is really starting to take foot also.
That's super exciting. Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get to it with some of these other projects, the chicken farm and some other things in a little bit. But yeah, I think the cross-pollination that you're referring to is so exciting as an investor. So how does SIRC benefit from the infrastructure bill? And with the infrastructure bill being passed, do you have any projections or goals you can share for EV charging installs? Basically, you already gave us an outlook for next year, but in terms of the infrastructure bill, what do you guys foresee there?
Sure. There is, if you thought there was a lot of subsidies in place for solar, there is more for EV. It is very subsidized marketplace. There's a ton of need for it. It's literally the new bill that's coming out has specific capital in place for it. The goal is to put EV units across the entire nation to transition from fossil fuels to alternative energy, green energy. So we see tremendous uptick in market cap penetration. Our 17-year-old business has already a name in the space, and coupled with the new commercial division that we're driving with for it, a lot of scale, and we're going to give it all the resources it needs to grow.
That's really exciting. I mean, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
If I can add to that, with this bill in place, we're actually working with lobbyists. We have about $80 million in grants that are in place. With the new bill in place, he feels like our chances are very, very high to receive those. So that would be a nice shot in arm for us.
And just to clarify, you just said 80 million in grants that you guys feel relatively.
Yes, 80 million.
That's fantastic.
I literally just spoke with him a week ago. I tried to pin him down because he's a bit of a sales guy. I got to watch with guys. I'm around them all the time. And he said 85% chance based on his experience. And obviously there's lots and lots of money out there and lots of grants coming out there. So we feel like our chances are pretty good.
That's excellent. When would you guys, let's say you guys were to get the green light on even a portion of those grants, when could you potentially see that money?
He thought we'd know something this year. He acts like it's coming really quickly. So
okay.
I'm new to the grant world, so it's kind of everything. It'll be a nice surprise at the end of the year for sure.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's really exciting. I know for a lot of investors that SIRC is, and Pablo, you guys are all looking to expand the Plemco division because obviously the EV space brings some pretty serious multiples, and it's a hot space. So question 5, obviously we have a new leader for Plemco now, Tim Hatteman. He's not the CEO of Plemco any longer, but he is still with Plemco, or is he still with Plemco or SIRC still? The first question, and then basically, is there any connections as a result of him not leading it that we will have lost?
No. Tim is. It's a graceful time for him to retire, and this is all in conjunction and in unison, where none of this is forced. So he's still part of the organization. He's consulting, and he's helping on the transition to Brad. So this is a healthy transition. By no means is it contentious.
Fantastic. Awesome. Great. Last question for Plemco, unless you guys had anything else you wanted to add. Question 4 has to do with major automakers pushing EV sales. Ford's got pretty lofty goals, along with a number of the other major automakers. Has SIRC approached any of these or any of the current EV manufacturers for national and regional contracts to install home charging units as a portion of the EV sale?
Well, there's 4 different points in there. What's the exact question? I'm trying to keep up with that.
There's a lot. Essentially, the question I think is asking, have you guys approached any of the major automakers about partnering with them with the capabilities that Plimco has?
Yeah, actually, that's funny you mentioned that because Brad had, the new CEO had already sent that on across as an action item that he was going to work on. So he's looking at it, they're looking at it, and as we said earlier, we're trying to give them all the resources they can to land everything that they can land. So yes, they're 100% on their radar and agenda.
Excuse me.
Fantastic. Great. Is there anything else before we move past Plimco that you guys wanted to the investors know about?
Excuse me. I don't believe so. I think you guys covered it. Pablo and I literally just left there an hour ago. We were at Plimco before we got here.
Okay. Fantastic. Cool. Wanda, I'm gonna kind of turn to you here. Everybody was really excited. I put out on the Discord which SIRC management would investors like to see, and aside from Dave, obviously they asked for Pablo and yourself. So thank you for making the time. Would love to go through a couple financial questions. Not sure if you saw these ahead of time or not, Wanda.
Okay.
And Wanda, you gotta be careful. We get in trouble if we talk too much about this.
I know.
And obviously, of course, anything you cannot share, we can just move right past. So the first question is, could you please share with us the preliminary revenue, gross margin, operating expense, and net income for the third quarter?
With this question, I think it's a little bit too early since our quarter 3 ended 2 days ago. So not all information and not all data is in yet. So I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing the even preliminary information and data at this point. It's a little bit too early. It's like 2 days when the quarter ended. Just ended November 30th.
We'll go through some of these other questions. What would be a good consolidated gross margin percentage to use for fiscal 2023, including depreciation and amortization?
So, right now we're in about 20-25%. So, of the percentage of the gross margin. So I estimate that it will be around the same or a little bit higher. It's like 2 years away. Since we're on the growing spurt, I could be higher.
And obviously, we understand that SIRC's got a number of different entities, some with higher, margins than others. So,
correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Third question here, we'll just kind of rapid fire these. When will be the 81 million in Goodwill begin to hit the P&L, and will it be written off over 10 years?
I don't really understand the question because with Goodwill, it's not a depreciation schedule for 10 years. Goodwill can be impaired if some of the entities don't perform, maybe close down business or stuff, then the Goodwill for that specific entity will have to be written off. If they perform, the Goodwill is not impaired and stays on the books as long as the company is successful.
Got it. Okay, great. And admittedly, I had to research Goodwill myself before this call, so
okay.
I won't be giving you any follow-up questions to that. Same with question number 4. What is the estimated SG&A percentage for fiscal 2023?
Salary G&A. Right now we're around probably around 38 to 40%, so probably 40 to 42 when the cost of living increases.
Excellent. What would you expect for incremental and decremental gross margin flex rates on volume changes, i.e., how much goes to the bottom line for a given dollar in sales change?
That question is basically the same as number 2. It just in dollar instead of the percentage. It just So like if we're saying that the gross margin will be like 20-25%, so like as of bottom line, like for given dollar would be gross margin like 20-25 cents. So
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Okay, great. What is a realistic EBITDA percentage for the company for 2023 and going forward?
I would say probably between 18-20%.
Oh, it's higher than the person who asked this question thought it might be. So 18 to 20. You said 18 to 22%, Wanda?
No, to 20. Like I would assume, yes.
Wanda, I'm impressed. I'm excited.
I know, me too.
That's a big one, folks, on this call. 18 to 20% EBITDA percentage for 2023 is what we're going for.
Yes.
What would you expect for a working capital change in relation to sales change? I.e., if sales go up by $1 million, does working capital go up by 200,000, let's say?
Okay, working capital has got nothing to do with P&L or sales. Working capital is basically the difference between current assets and current liabilities. So that's balance sheet. So I don't know how working capital has got anything to do with sales.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I don't really have any follow-up questions there. For fiscal 2025, so kind of looking forward, this person asking the question is hypothesizing 500 million in sales, the 25% gross margin. And the question is, and 16 to 18% EBITDA, what do you see? You've already answered that with the gross margin and EBITDA. The sales numbers we're going to get to in a few minutes. So we'll skip that. And then the last question, what was the deciding factor for you personally, Wanda, in your decision to come on board SIRC and join the circus?
Yeah, actually my former employer, that's Aid Bailey, that CPA accounting firm that does audit taxes, and they have also outsourced department, where I was in. So I was actually outsourced to act as a CFO to Solar Integrated, to SIRC. So basically I've been there for since May, I think. So I was already there, and then I was offered the opportunity to become a CFO, and I accepted the position, which I love the company. I'm really grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
That's fantastic. Go ahead, Dave.
We all love Wanda here, and we're really, really happy to have her part of our team. She's a nice flower amongst all these bulls I'm with.
Thank you.
Yes, she's the lady in the house, and we all love and respect her.
Well, again, excited to have you on board, Wanda. Thanks for stepping us through some financials. Really, really do appreciate it. All right, guys, let's jump on down to the sales. Everybody likes to talk about sales. What are the key points you'd want to let an investor know about, and any specific examples of deals, numbers, and future growth that you guys want to talk about?
Something I would like to share that I hope I don't get in trouble for, but we've had a tremendous...
I love it when you start with that, Dave. I love it when you start with that.
We've had a tremendous... everything I'm telling you has already been discussed, but never really been added up. But we've had a tremendous 2021. And with the year coming up, we literally have over $200 million in contracts that are rolling into 2022, which obviously getting us off to a good start. We got the $95 million DoD deal. We got the Arizona deal that's growing by the day. I think that's up to $60 million. And Pablo has about 60-70 million in commercial contracts that are signed, ready to go for next year. So we're expecting 2022 to come out like a bang. And, this has nothing to do with anything we sell next year. This is just carry over from 2021. So it's pretty exciting.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, we saw Troy was interviewed on Money TV, even just a couple hours ago, and he was highlighting some of the things you just mentioned. Honestly, I think as being an investor myself for over a year, obviously it's incredible, and we're all really excited to see some of this actually hit the books.
We are too. We want to turn these sales into revenue. That's our goal. That's our, that's what we do.
That's awesome. Second question, our sales efforts and resulting contract wins are tremendous. Basically, can we deliver on this? Is our labor force growing sufficiently to keep up with all of this demand for construction?
Yeah, well, so the answer is yes, and it's because of the sophistication of our program. If you really think about what we are, sure, we own several construction companies, but more specifically, we're a network of national solutions in that we, as a national developer, we're sourcing the opportunities, we're sourcing the capital, we're sourcing the material, but a lot of times we can outsource the licensed construction work. So we're never overloaded because when our companies that we own have too much work, we outsource the rest of it, and really for minimal cost relative to the entire project.
Something I would like to add is, you guys all seen the Arbiter Bank deal close, and that's funding very soon. That's his goal. Darren and I work very closely with him. He really wants to see us expand with that, and our goal is to do some acquisitions for install companies that will help us keep up with our sales. So that's all part of it. So we're gonna. I know everyone gets concerned about acquisitions with us putting shares out there. We're gonna do the acquisition for cash and grow the cash portion and keep the shares in place. So that's how we're handling the labor, keeping up with the sales side of things. That's our
really
plan.
exciting. And just to repeat back, Dave, what you just said for everybody listening, what I heard you say is we could potentially expect another acquisition done in cash that's non-dilutive. That acquisition would be specifically directed to help meet growing labor demands and installs for SIRC?
Multiple acquisitions. We're looking at 4 or 5 install companies right now to keep up with us.
Fantastic. That's exciting, and you'll have the cash to do it with Arbiter. So, great. And then the third question, I mean, really a lot of the third question is answered even by Troy's interview on Money TV, but can you list all of the major contracts that have been secured by SIRC this quarter?
Well, I believe I just did. Again, that was answered. But it changes every quarter, so we can probably answer that next quarter for you.
Sounds good. And we're going to touch on some of the major contracts here in a few minutes, so we'll just move past it. Next question is about solar electric vehicles. Has SIRC ever considered to look for a partnership with a company that manufactures solar electric vehicles and supply them with solar solutions?
I believe that question was asked. Plimco itself, he has an entire business plan, and finding the right market for the EV charging is part of it, and partnering up with a EV charging vehicle company is on the radar for sure. Just there's so many different places that we can go to in the EV charging market. Tough to pin it down to just one sector.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed there was obviously an EV solar electric vehicle company that went public even 2 weeks ago on the Nasdaq, and so it'd be interesting though, because I mean, obviously, I don't know if they would partner just with a manufacturer, or they'd want to partner with a company like SIRC via Plimco. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do not. I know that I recently purchased a new vehicle, and this company sold electric vehicles. And I asked the guy at the dealership, I said, what do you guys do about getting your clients lined up with someone that can install EV chargers? They said they really try to avoid that space, and they don't want to get involved with that piece of it. I guess they just don't want to be liable for it. Thought it might have been an opportunity.
Good for you for always be selling.
I went to a little health spa. I was trying to sell them a solar system for the spa. It's out in the middle of the desert, and I saw the air conditioners going on all the time. I said, oh my gosh, you need us so bad. Actually, at that spa, I actually met a guy that had a need in Louisiana, and Pablo sold him a large solar system out in Louisiana. This was good.
Gotta take the salesman out of sales, folks.
That's so awesome. Question number 5, there's a deal that is 90 to 95 million that is supposed to be with the Department of Defense. The question adds, there's also the Helixa deal that is 90 million that benefits the DoD. These two deals actually one and the same. If they're not, can you elaborate?
Yes,
I believe they are, but go ahead.
they are actually one and the same. We're basically a subcontractor vendor for Alexia, if that's how you say it. They're our partner. They chose us to be their vendor to supply the materials on their project.
Got it. And let's talk about this for a second, right? Because this is one of the big deals for SIRC that you guys have just landed. And so 90 million. Step us through the numbers on what that could look like over the next 12 months, 24 months, how the deal could potentially expand, what that means in terms of actual revenue on the balance sheet, if you don't mind.
All the details of the deal have not been disclosed, but if you look at a basic $95 million project like that, and we're supplying the materials, typically on a job like that, materials are about 40% of the contract amount. The markup on materials like that is about 15%. So if you did the math, that's what SRC would recognize in a normal deal like that. But I don't have all the details, so that's not that actual deal. I just gave it as an example of what that would look like.
No, it makes sense. And obviously the reason I'm asking, guys, is because we get really excited when we see a massive number like 95 million come out, but then, when we just don't know, right? At this point, what it's going to look like in terms of numbers. But I mean, the reality is what it sounds like, what I'm hearing you say, what we should take away is that for you guys to land a deal with the government to be a subcontractor for Helixa is, and I know I'm butchering that, it is a big deal, and we could potentially expect more.
Exactly, you bet. This guy is really tied into the DoD, and he's tied into all the armed forces. I think I'm meeting him I believe next month in South Carolina, I believe Fort Bragg, to go meet at some marquee banquet about this big project we're doing for him. So he's really, really working all angles of this project.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for diving in a little bit there. Next question. SIRC has done an amazing job with acquisitive and organic growth this year in terms of building momentum and potential. And as you've already noted, $200 million sales for fiscal 2023 is very possible. I'm going to skip down to the actual question here. The interview that aired on November 21st mentioned 25.5 million in sales for the second quarter. The P&L for SIRC shows 10.3 million. From an investor viewpoint, the P&L is what matters. Can you clarify sales? The first question.
Hey,
go ahead.
Let me answer that. I believe we've covered this before. Our sales and revenue cycle are different. So when we sell 25 million in sales, that could cycle 60 to 75 days. And you could have some cancellations. So just like I mentioned, we have 220 million of sales rolling into revenue into 2022. Sales and revenue we're not Home Depot. We're not selling hammers and getting the sale right at that minute. It takes us the time to put the deal in place and get it designed and executed.
I think, Pablo, you were the one who mentioned potential in the solar space is, a 20% cancellation is somewhat realistic. Is that right?
So it's pretty national standard. If you have a lower than a 20% cancellation rate, you're running really efficiently. If you're above that, you got some problems. So 20 is a good run rate, good cancellation. I mean, none of it's good, pardon me, but it's there.
Do you guys track what SIRC's current cancellation rate is over time?
And then, every department and every subsidiary is a little different. In our roofing solar retail division, its cancellation rate is almost zero because it's mainly referrals. If you go to Future Home Power's door to door, a little more salesy type approach, theirs is a little higher. Pablo would know that better than I do. I think it's closer to 25%. But in the sales world, if you're not getting people to cancel, it means that you're not trying that hard. And Jason's guys try pretty hard.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. Again, this question goes on here. Can you clarify the comment in the recent press release that said currently securing $280 million in commercial projects for our development pipeline? Does this mean $280 million is hard signed contracts that will translate into sales with certainty, or does this represent potential projects?
Okay, man. Sure. So it's $280 million that are, as I said, in the developmental stage. That means we have a customer. That means that we have a actual opportunity. Will all of them actually get to installation? No. When it comes to commercial solar, it is a far different, complex being in reality than residential solar. The capital is far more sophisticated. So we do have buyers. We do have a real development cycle going on. Percentage-wise, what actually gets completed, about a 25% closed-built ratio is in effect. So lots of projects, lots of buyers. Structuring the capital is always a challenge. That said, we have a division that's all that they do is structure alternative energy capital for the commercial space. That's 24, day and night. That's all they do.
Well, even at 25%, I mean, 60 to 70 million, I mean, and that's just what you have right now. So that's obviously super exciting. So, great. Next question, can you provide us with any partnerships updates? I mean, Duchess, Helixa, we've already covered Helixa or SVG. So, specifically with Duchess and SVG or any of the other partnerships we haven't touched on.
I will cover Duchess. Pablo will cover SVG. He works closer with them. I've actually, Duchess, one of the reps actually live really close to me, and I see him all the time personally. They're really currently working with Wanda now to really wrap their arms around SIRC to really understand it so they can put a package together for their investors and for the streets to show them who and what we really are so they can give the streets an accurate analysis of what we have going on, because we have so many subsidiaries and so many things going on. It's complicated unless you're really a part of it. So that's where that's at now.
Got it. And before we go to SVG, if I can follow up. So, I mean, Duchess obviously is going to help, as you just said, potentially bring institutional investors in. If you guys were to if and when you guys do a roadshow to Nasdaq, would they do that with you?
Probably so. We have a lot of partners we work with. I had a nice meeting with Roth this week, and they would be a good partner for us as well. They worked with all the big solar names, and they actually put us in touch with our latest board member that we just brought on, Hector. So Roth would be another good partner for us, and they're actually right up the street as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Pablo. SVG.
The more that we look at this union, the more it's just a marquee collaboration. They have successfully transitioned 200 and I think it was 8 roofing companies that are established roofing companies to bring on solar as another revenue stream. So their experienced solar or roofing sales teams are now selling solar also. So by acquiring SVG, we instantly acquired 208 sales teams. We're gung-ho to keep moving forward with it. It's a very synergetic relationship.
You guys had mentioned a few months ago that this could drive, 100 projects per month, generating millions in sustainable monthly revenues. I mean, that it's been a couple months now. I mean, do you guys still stand behind that, or how are you feeling about it?
So just as an example, some hard numbers. Until the reality is that a lot of their residential work they have been sending to other locations until the acquisition is closed. I think they're using that as leverage, but they've sent us about 80 million in commercial projects through their dealer network. We actually hit the road this December 13th and December 17th. We're going to be in 4 cities in Florida with SVG. We will be at each location, because I've been to 3 of their roadshow events where they invite roofers to onboard onto solar. Every time I've been at one, there's 60 plus companies there, sophisticated companies. And we're scheduled to have 4 cities in Florida and 4 cities in Texas in January. We will be the exclusive dealer network there. So we'll get all of those relationships. and hopefully we close by then. So then we get them all.
That's amazing. So, I mean, we talked about a $280 million commercial pipeline. You just mentioned $80 million from SVG. That I'm assuming that's part of the 220 you were referencing.
And well, pardon me.
It wasn't part of my 220 I talked about earlier. No, that 220 was 95 for DOD, the 60 for Callaway, and then Pablo's current commercial pipeline. That's
Awesome.
Is that SVG?
No. So just to bifurcate, one is signed, ready to go, in construction, pre-construction mode, done deals. That's what Dave was sharing. What the previous question was the 280 million in development. So those are moving forward. We have a buyer, but they're not in construction yet. We're trying to finalize that deal. So the 80 million in projects that SVG brought, those are in the development stage. I'm pretty sure some of them are already part of our 60 million that are in construction stage. So two different stages. With commercial, alternative energy and solar, there's a developmental stage before you got to talk to utility companies, you got to talk to the city, you got to get permission here, you got permission there before you could ever get to an agreement.
Well, makes total sense. Thanks for kind of stepping through that, Pablo. Next question. Looks like the La Gonave Island project is in partnership with RX Seedcoin. In their white paper, they claim Corporation Pink Sheets, SIRC. Together, we shall bring energy to the Paradise Island, over 250,000 inhabitants. However, when you look up the population, that's only around 89,000 people. So you guys are getting spell checked here. Where does this discrepancy come from? And also, could you share more info on the stake that SIRC has acquired in the RX Seedcoin?
That's totally you.
Sure, yeah. So in La Gonave's, and let me give you a quick example. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. If you look at the census there, it says it's like 3-point-something million, but there's significantly more people there that unfortunately don't end up on the census. The numbers that we shared came straight from the mayor's office of La Gonave. We have a letter to do business, an exclusive letter from the La Gonave government basis there. So the project is literally in contract stage with our attorneys and the La Gonave's Island. We have a pre-construction design structure in place. It's a really dynamic system of what it would be is considered as a micro mini grid. So it's self-sustainable system similar to what we're doing at the Callaway Farms. And we've had 49 businesses that have signed up that have sent data sheets to be part of this project. They're beyond excited over there. They've been living off of diesel fuel energy for forever. They've never had an electrical grid there. Part of our agreement is that we get exclusivity. We will be the exclusive energy provider for the island. So the population difference, I would say that's coming directly from the government, the information that we shared. I think they have a close accounting of what's on their island. And as far as RX Seedcoin, they were the contact. They are cryptocurrency, and we do have a significant equity founders position with that crypto technology. We think it's going to be a beneficial future roadmap for us and to stay into the blockchain technologies.
Got it. Okay, cool. Is there anything else you wanted to say on RX Seedcoin? I mean, you mentioned a significant stake. I mean, it's exciting you guys at least have your hands in the crypto space. Is there anything else you wanted to say on that though?
They're having their version of their crypto IPO on December 15th. We will be sharing some information within the company and also with shareholders about it that has been approved by our SEC attorney. By no means are we the expert in that space, but the gentlemen that work with us, and that's been their space for 5 years. So we're already seeing a lot of energy companies utilizing the technology of that that cryptocurrencies bring with blockchain technologies, and we have to be ahead of the curve. We can't fall behind, or we'll be left behind. So,
100%. That's
December-
exciting, though. They have their ICO coming up, you said?
correct. Well, their version, their coin version of that. It's on bitmart.com.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And I did want to ask on the Loganov Island project, just a follow-up question, because this is obviously super exciting, right? You guys got an exclusive contract with the government. What sort of potential revenue are you expecting from this project? And do you foresee it potentially being a roadmap for other, islands with similar government structures where you could potentially land more deals like it?
I'm sorry, I was reading on it. Can we?
Oh, just revenue from the project. It's an island project. You've got exclusivity, but 250,000 people. It's a microgrid. It sounds like a very, very cool project for SIRC. But in terms of numbers, what are you hoping that this could turn into?
Strategically, we've chosen to first bring electricity to the businesses. Loganov has historically always been a European island for tourism. The tourism department there expects a 4 times multiplier and immediate increase in tourism as soon as their European visitors have electricity there. So we've chosen to do electricity first for the business because of the revenues it's going to bring to the island. And once that money gets circulating on the island, just the projections that the administration shared with us, it's pretty exciting. Each building there, if it's a hotel and it needs a megawatt, you're literally talking about 49 megawatts of projects. And an island is accustomed to paying, higher rates than California. So if we give them savings with the high energy costs of California, it's really hard to get diesel fuel to the island. So we're going to be able to do a economic model that is beneficial on the revenue side, but it still saves them significant money.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, thank you. USA Solar Networks side, it looks like there's a strong relationship with EV Connect. The question says, how did this relationship start? Where do you see it going? And then basically, is Jordan Raymer interested in a director role with SIRC?
So we do have strong EV relationships, but I would say that by far the strongest is with our sister company Plemco now, and can I show they're going to be going through rebranding?
Sure.
Yeah, Plemco is going to be going through a rebranding name, and we're really focusing on energy on building the Plemco model. They have a great name in the industry, so our attention is with Plemco for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and Troy mentioned earlier today on the interview that SIRC was going to be going through rebranding. Is the Plemco rebranding going to coincide with that, or would that be separate? Or can you not share?
We're actually.
You may.
Well, hey, the boss said I can, so here we go.
I don't think so.
You can't get me going.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to get you both going.
So we're actually bringing on an interview in several national marketing firms that have the sophistication and wherewithal to consolidate 14 different businesses and tell our story in a sophisticated way that institutional investors can appreciate. Because we're 14 different businesses, it can be at times hard to grasp, but the reality is we have a real dynamic story, and we think that a national brand is going to have all the infrastructure in place to share it. That said, they have a contest. You want to win our business? Help us rebrand. Let's see who brings the best rebranding name for Plemco. So we'll see what they present, and we're using it as a carrot to see also what these marketing firms are all about.
It's exciting. So just so I'm clear and the investors on the call are clear, do you guys already have a partnership with that national marketing firm, or are you in talks?
We have 3 that are in the contention, top 3, and each of them are working on their presentation. They'll present to our CEO and our executive team, and then from there, they will make a decision.
Got it. When can you hope to have that wrapped up?
It's we're looking about the next 30 to 45 days.
Okay, great. Yeah, we can go with a range so that we don't nail you guys down if we miss a date. So, no, that's really, really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Great. Question number 11. This is one I'm personally pretty excited about. It wasn't my question, but the chicken farm news is great. It feels like a one-of-a-kind idea. Should these ideas be kept secret to SIRC without public announcement? Basically, you guys obviously have a really exciting deal. You went out there and you closed $2.5 million deal on the first go with the hope of expanding that. Can you kind of speak to some of that?
Sure, absolutely. So, our Joe, who's our director of our commercial division with our finance division, John, we're constantly looking at the space for subsidies. We found one that could specifically be utilized. It's a USDA grant that, when coupled with chicken farms in that specific region, which I don't want to. Did we already share where the rotation was?
I think so.
Okay, well, it was in Arkansas. This is the chicken. I think it's like I didn't know this, but it's our chicken state. That produces almost all of our chicken meat that we eat. And there's a ton of chicken farms up there. They had no idea about these grants, and we brought up our sophisticated proposal tools that outline the economics for these multi-generational farms a lot of times, and with our structured capital and with this grant, the economics work without the grant. But when you put the grant into play, it's really, really compelling. So that was the first trip. We had 4 farms sign up, and they all know each other. We've been getting immense interest in additional business, and we will be in Arkansas very shortly.
Yeah, like I said a second ago, I'm really excited about it. For the investors on the call, I believe what Pablo is referring to is the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Energy for American program, or REAP, which provides funding for exactly what we're talking about to reduce energy costs for these farmers. So, so you guys, Pablo, you foresee, you signed development agreements with 4 of them, contracts totaling over $2.5 million, 66% closing ratio. Is this an area that you plan to focus more on?
I always like niche and deep, right? So these niche type of ideas that could scale down deeply, absolutely. We're one, it helps our communities. 2, I love chicken. 3, I think Dave loves chicken too. We can bring a lot of business and shareholder value for sure.
Got it.
I'm much more of an egg guy myself. I like the eggs.
We're learning more about you guys. I've totally sidetracked the spirit of this question. Do you guys have any concern about sharing, these really creative ideas or these grants you're finding, or are you pretty sure your competitors are already aware of them?
I don't believe they're aware of them, but when it comes to competition, and myself and Dave are actually really aligned on this, there's so much business. The level of penetration in the marketplace for commercial is less than 1%. 1%. For residential, it's barely at 3%. It's an untapped, wide open marketplace. I'm never worried about competition because I know what we provide is solid, good business, and the more the merrier. Let's help the planet while we're at it.
That's excellent.
I'm actually able to see all the little comments people are making. Someone just they must know Pablo, said Pablo is a force of nature.
Oh.
They put that up there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
Yeah, don't keep reading, but
I'm not going to say what the next one. I'm not going to say what the next one said.
Yeah.
All right. Let's we'll come back to the Generac question if we have time. Mojave Farms, this is a deal you guys released, $151 million over 30 years, $500,000 a month. With the initial cost being $36 million, how is the upfront cost being handled? First of all.
Well, this is actually Pablo's deal. I was in on it. This is one thing I do know some details about. These numbers have changed quite a bit. This initial cost, I believe, went up to $54 54 million.
Correct.
They've added a lot of change orders. They've expanded the system itself, and the payment over 30 years is closer to 220 million. And the initial cost will be handled through Arbiter Capital, our bank.
Wow. So just to clarify, the deal is now going to go from 151 million estimated to 220 million estimated over 30 years.
Yes.
The initial cost is going to go up to 54 from 36. So Arbiter is going to handle the initial costs. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, sir. He's our bank. He's offered to fund anything that we need funding for.
Wow. Oh, yeah. You mentioned, is that separate from the wholesale line of credit, or is that the wholesale line of credit you were referring to?
No, it's totally separate.
Wow. That's really exciting. Well, is there anything else in terms of the terms of that deal, the terms of that 54 million, i.e. interest, et cetera, that you can share with us?
Interest on the money, the money's really, really cheap. It's 2-3% money. It's a great deal. He's investing in us because with his original $42 million investment, he gets 60 million shares. His goal is to get the value of those 60 million shares up. So that's where he's open to make the money.
Yeah, I think that's so important for so many investors on this call to realize that Arbiter came in with $40+ million, and we're at 40 cents as a stock, and they certainly did not jump in on board SIRC because they don't see us moving up. So thank you for sharing that. And you already answered the rest of that question. Part B, it is mentioned in the Mojave Farms press release that this is the first of many deals with Callaway. How many more farms does the family own? What's the potential future opportunity for us here?
Funny that this question popped up. We were just speaking with Cameron Callaway yesterday, and as the electrical load has grown at Mojave Farms, it still works for them. As an example, during peak demand hours at Mojave Farms, they'd be paying $17 a kilowatt hour. With our solution, it's going to be 9 cents a watt always. Wow. So with this microgrid solution that we're bringing in, he literally, and they've been in the industry for 100 years, right? So they're generational money, and this is what they do. He said it could, if we can drive this solution, which it's driving, they could change the landscape for their farming associates. He said this one, the next one would be 3 times the size.
And see, now I get why you guys are looking to do some acquisitions in the install space. Clearly, you guys are landing massive deals where you're going to need some help getting all the stuff installed. So, the power system for Mojave includes solar batteries and a proprietary patented generator system. It sounds pretty impressive, state of the art. There's some detailed questions here. Will the generators be propane filled? Is this an in-house design, and who came up with this, and who holds the patent?
So generator,
can you say?
I
think so.
I definitely just heard that word. I'm just going to say it right now.
So the company, we can say that we're trying to acquire. No. Okay. All right, we gotta. It's hard not to know what you can and can't.
No. We'll move past it. I'm not trying to get
I can't answer this. It is the generators are liquid
natural gas.
Liquid
LNG.
It's LNG. It is an in-house design with our partners on this project. It's an alternative energy mix of solutions. We're doing the solar component clearly. And our partners are bringing the additional technology. They do hold their patents. And what is the last one? Because we see a high-level block diagram of the system. That's purely Callaway Farms discretion. So we could ask, but they're a client. And this is this opportunity here. Once we get this off the ground, literally rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'll tell you what, right now seems like a great time to go back to question number 12. Generac, have we ever approached Generac to become a partner?
Not a partner. We've been approached by their sales team to carry their generators, but not as a partnership. We're working with some other companies I think we mentioned for generators.
Great. Let's move past Mojave. Let's everyone's favorite subject. Let's talk about the uplist. First of all, congratulations on getting the uplist stuff taken care of.
How's Wanda doing?
Wanda, great job.
Wanda, you still there?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm listening.
You're probably watching the news now, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm definitely putting Wanda to sleep once we start talking about sales and stuff. But
give her something to count.
Yeah, we'll bring up some more numbers in a minute. Uplist, one of the main considerations to be on the Nasdaq. Oh, here you go, Wanda. You can help us with this. A company has to be SOX compliant. In light of the recent audit, is SIRC SOX compliant?
Okay, so not yet, but we're working towards that. It's a process. We have to put all the internal controls and procedures together, and then they need to be tested by the auditors, if they work. So we've started implementing the process, but it's a process. It will take a while.
Got it. Okay, great. And then board members, can you fill us in on the board of directors, both past and present?
The only past board member we have is Muthla. She recently resigned. I believe her personal schedule became too busy. Our newest board member is Hector Pena, who we're very, very excited about. We do have Don Pierce, who's been a board member for about 6 months. All of our current board members have been volunteers, and we appreciate that. But Don's been volunteering for 6 months. He's 78 years old. He said at the end of the year he's going to retire. So we're looking for another board member as we speak. We have a couple of finalists that we're coming down to. I think we'll have one announced probably next week or the week after.
Oh, fantastic. That's exciting. Okay, great. And obviously, as you guys start expanding, right, I mean, my favorite tagline is Road to 1 billion. You guys are growing so fast. I mean, as SIRC is looking to move to higher exchanges, because they're going to be bringing on board of directors, I mean, would the plan be to try and get board of directors that are not simply volunteers, but that are paid?
The ones now are paid. We enjoyed the time when we had the volunteers, but Hector Pena, he's been a very valuable asset. Again, Pablo and I met with him today. He just spent an hour with lunch with him, and just gave us so much information, so much knowledge, and so many ideas. And our new board member we're looking at, he's in the same category as Hector. So these guys will be compensated with cash and some shares.
Okay, great. And question 4 is, assuming your independent board members were vetted, I mean, obviously they're vetted, knew what they were getting into, knew to some degree your vision for the company, can you please elaborate on why 2 would resign just before the QB uplisting?
Yeah. Again, they were volunteers. Why did you want to answer that?
No. I just wanted to say I thought you just answered the question. So
I did.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you basically mentioned it was.
Musa you said her personal life got too busy. Maybe she got a boyfriend. I don't know. And Don, like I said, he's a great guy. We really love him, and he's getting up there. He's 78. He's in great shape for 78. I hope I'm in that great shape at 78. But he's gonna kick back and retire. So and it's time for us to really upgrade and get some really good talent and really good mentors around us as well.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you. Last question here. What are the consciously crafted elements of our strategy to uplist to the Nasdaq? I'll just read this whole thing. Are we acting under the advice of consulting firms that, for example, advise us to do interviews at the Nasdaq? If so, what are the top 3 strategic moves you have been advised to make to be in a position to uplist to the Nasdaq?
I'm going to pause, and I believe I'll take that. Our plan is, and as I say all the time, our goal all the time is to take care of our shareholders. And obviously, with our depressed stock price, we have a long ways to go to get to the Nasdaq. The only way to really get there is the major reverse. That's not good for anybody. We feel like our little step to QB that we're happy to accomplish. It's a nice stepping stone to get to the QX first quarter next year. Spend a year there, get stock price up, and then get to Nasdaq without doing the reverse. So that's our goal, and I think it's in everyone's best interest.
Yes, and I actually talked to our auditors today, and they have a firm in consulting firm in Salt Lake City that they specialize in companies that want to upgrade to Nasdaq. So with all the SOX compliance and stuff, so we will be actually using them when the time is right.
That's fantastic. Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we've been in grade school. We're graduating high school. We're not quite ready for Harvard. We want to go to a little JV for a while.
Great. Well, and obviously, I think the getting there organically, everybody on this call is probably excited to hear that. So, perfect. Share buyback and dilution. Latest annual report showed 11 million worth of convertible notes coming due early next year with conversion terms between $3 and $6. Is it possible to renegotiate? If not renegotiated, what effect will these note maturities have on SIRC? We have to pay these off at conversion price, and will these notes cause share dilution?
We actually like those notes. There's no reason to renegotiate. You do the math: $3 to $6, call it an average of $4 and for 11 million is, what is that? 2.75 million shares. We
obviously huge premium debt for sure.
Yeah, and we chew that up in a day. I mean, if that came out over a month, no one would notice it. It's nothing like what's going on now. So it would be a nice way to get that off the books, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, and let's touch on that, because you said it's nothing like what's going on right now. Are we seeing note conversion right now? And if so, can you speak to how much?
Not really notes. We had a shifty little character, had some warrants stuck into a note that crept up on us. And that was a 20 million warrant that beat us up. We're not happy about it, and hopefully he's halfway through those, and we have another investor might have another 10 or 15 million. Our goal is when we get to Arbiter cash to buy those guys out and get them out of here. That's our big goal, and I think everyone will be very happy about that, and you'll see a big difference in the way the stock performs after that.
Got it. And just to repeat back what you just said, 20 million in warrants. There's another holder who has 10 to 15 million in warrants. And you estimate
these are tradable shares. They were converted to tradable shares. These guys are in the market. They're causing our stock to trade and not go up. We just need to get them out there. They're valuable to get us where we need to be. That we just need to get. Now we're done with that type of debt. We're dealing with real banks and real money, and we want to buy those back and get out of that business as soon as we can.
Makes sense. So again, just potentially, just because I know that there a lot of people on the call are really interested in hearing about this, even though it's not a fun topic to talk about. Potentially 35 million, and maybe half of the 10 has already been converted in the market, and you're hoping to buy back some of those from these guys with the Arbiter funds. Is that what I heard you say?
That's exactly what you heard us say. Yep, that's fine. As soon as that funds, I'm making a couple phone calls to see if we can get them out at a discount rate.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's obviously great to hear. It's super frustrating when a lot of us are putting hundreds of thousands of dollars on the ask and we don't go anywhere. So, let's move through some of this. You basically knocked out all of these. Let me just see here. Question 6, what is your plans if Cornerstone Construction shares don't equal 45 million at the 1-year purchase date? This is important because I want to know if you'll be diluting more shares to cover the difference.
I think that they don't have to worry about that.
We're working with Cornerstone in different avenues to keep that from happening. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we'll have to issue any more shares. We'll see. There's nothing really public about it now, but we're going through the process of not having to issue him any more shares.
Fantastic. That's huge, actually. So thank you for mentioning that. And then obviously last month we saw, 30 something million shares were issued. Some of that had to do with employee compensation plan. You mentioned on the last Q&A, plans to issue 10 million shares per quarter. How many shares do you foresee issuing in total, and how is it determined, and when do the shares vest?
Well, it takes a year to vest the shares. What do you mean? How many shares do we plan on issuing?
I think the question is referring to like employee compensation plan, right? You guys hit sales targets, the executives hit sales targets, and I'm assuming you had mentioned that there are shares, in conjunction with those targets. I think that's what you're planning to issue 10 million shares per quarter based on that. At least I believe that's what the question is asking.
Pablo and U.S. Solar Networks, they get quarterly and annual bonuses. FHP gets quarterly and annual bonuses based on their sales. How that breaks down and how the sales come out, I'm not exactly sure. My ultimate goal, my big picture goal is not to authorize any more shares other than the 500 million. I want to get to the QX without authorizing any more shares. That's my personal ultimate goal.
Okay, great. Yeah, and question 2, you just mentioned the 500 million. Question 2 says, is share buyback going to happen before the OS reaches that number? If not, is there a plan in place, and what does it look like? You just highlighted some of it. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that?
Well, again, if you do the math, if we're able to, not positive what these investors have. If they have 20, 30, 40 million shares and we gobble those up, we would retire those shares, put it back in the treasury, and be able to use those for the business. And again, we're not going to use that type of borrowing anymore, so we'd only need it for the subsidiaries, and it can easily get us to Q1 without authorizing any more shares.
Okay, great. If we open this up for questions at the end, we may have some more questions about that. But actually, somebody just put in the chat, and I will just because we're on it right now. The Ppp Loan Forgiveness, is that something you can speak to, Wanda? Is that something, have we applied for that? And if so,
yeah, we're in a process of applying for every entity for the forgiveness, and I'm sure they will be forgiven.
Perfect. If my memory serves me, Wanda, is that 8 million that we took in PPP loans?
Yes, around, yes.
Around 8 million. Okay. Great. Thank you. And do you have any idea about how long that process takes? It seems like there's a lot of interest in that particular question.
Some of them have been forgiven. The only thing is that since the money were received, there is 24 weeks when the money was supposed to be spent, and after that we can ask for forgiveness. So for some of the entities, the period just expired. So we will be in the process of doing that right now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Perfect. PR and marketing. Obviously, you guys have announced a really exciting project you're rolling out right now with a national marketing firm. You've got 3 that you're looking at, so that answers some of these questions. But bear with me as I spit some of these at you. Money TV. Why use Money TV? You could probably post your own YouTube coinciding with an SIRC tweet and receive way more views, or just don't do it. They look bad when your company is amazing.
That's a terrible thing to say about Don. I've known Don for years. This show is an old school show. He claims he has hundreds of millions of viewers. I don't know where they are, but it's a good way. Just like Troy did an interview, he got a great message out. We take it and we rework it and use it in different areas. But for cost value, it's a great way to get some messages out.
Yeah, got it. And again, with a national marketing firm potentially coming on board, you guys will have a lot more reach coming soon. So I don't think there's too much concern for investors there.
What's that?
Again, the second question almost seems not worth asking. You guys put out a report with Goldman Small Cap Research. Would you consider using them again? ideally after the, next quarterly results.
We would consider using him again. We had that other independent firm that came out with another analysis. We could possibly use them as well. Roth, I spoke to, they said they might do some research on us as well. So we like to get a larger name to do some research that the market trusts a little more.
Yeah, perfect. Because I know when that report came out, a lot of people had no idea who they were and the authenticity of it. So okay, great.
Well, nice thing about it. He has a good name. Goldman Small Cap Research Group is a good name for something like that.
Oh, you know what? I'm mistaken. I'm thinking of the Polaris report.
Oh, the Polaris?
That was the report that drew some confusion. I apologize. Anyway, what's the status of PRs being updated regularly on most of the major trading platforms, news feeds like TDA and Fidelity? I think this question may have been asked before, but a lot of the PR that does get pushed out through Access Wire and other places does not come up on Fidelity, and some of them don't come up on TDA. Are you guys familiar with that? I've
been asked by shareholders why that is. I don't know. I promised that shareholder I would find out. I haven't had time, but I will. I think it's important that we can get out there. If there's something we can do to modify that to make it happen, we'll definitely do it. Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, because I know a number of shareholders tend to only see the PRs after they're posted either in Discord or on Twitter, simply because they don't come up in their broker's news feed. Great. And then name change. This has obviously been a hot topic in the Discord. You guys have mentioned a national rebranding, a Plumco rebranding. Now that we've had a name change poll, will the winner name go into effect during the uplist to QB? If not, when will the name change occur? We have Jeff, our attorney, working on the name change and a new ticker as we speak. He just got the QB done. That's next on his desk. My thought is it should coincide at the same time. Excellent. And is that? I'm always hesitant, Dave, to ask you questions around timeframes because I'm not trying to put you in a corner. But if your attorney's working on that now, is that something you hope to have out before the end of the year? Holidays are a tough time to predict anything, but with the QB uplist, Jeff thinks it's 3 to 4 weeks. He said they're really backed up, could be 4 to 5. I have no idea how long a name change or a ticker change would take. I assume it's about the same amount of time. Okay, but those will not be together then. They'll be separate, the uplist and the name change. Yes. Well, okay. I don't know. Quite honestly, I'm not sure how it works. If we can get the name change and then implement it when we uplist to the QB, I don't know if we can pause it and make it happen at the same time. That'd be kind of cool. But otherwise, it would just happen when it happens. Okay. And there was a lot of names thrown around in the Discord, right? A number of people got to vote. There was a lot of interest in the ticker Power, POWR, as well as the name Solar EV. Do you guys have any comments on either of those? Well, I think those that's where we're going. We're going with Solar EV as a name change and Power as a new ticker. That's what Jeff's working on now. Well, you heard it here first, folks. That's pretty exciting. That answers the next question because there was a website found, getsolarev.com/smart. There was some SIRC branding in there. So that's really exciting. So let me move forward here, guys. Forgive me. It's almost 5:30 and we're still going through questions. How are you guys doing? You're going to save us a lot of money on PRs with all the stuff we're going through. I don't know if you know this. Hosting costs about $600 a piece to put out there. Sorry, what you cut out? What costs $600 a piece? A PR costs about $600 to put up. Yeah, hey, I'll tell you. Anytime you need to put out a PR, I'm happy to give you the $600 because I love the. That would save my shareholders money. That's fine. I'll make sure Wanda has my cell, and I will cover the cost of the PRs moving forward. You said you heard it here first.
let's just knock out a couple of these miscellaneous questions. Pablo, is there anything you want to comment on the legal battle with Singh?
Sure. Yeah, every attempt that they made was shot down by the courts, and we're still suing them for all the fraud, breach of contract, and everything else that we claimed. It was 3 independent companies suing them, and last I looked, they were down 17% today and worth less than $6 million. So, life speaks in results. Life speaks in results. Results.
And there's a lot of places I could go with that, but yeah, let's just move forward. Thank you for being a leader of integrity. So, what is the roadmap for future acquisitions in the coming 3 years? When it's time for new acquisitions, do you plan to increase the EOS? I know we've touched on that. Dave or Pablo, did you guys want to highlight anything in relation to that question?
We did cover it, and I'd like to reiterate because it's so important. We plan on doing acquisitions with cash and not issuing shares to create value.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Integrating several acquisitions is a difficult task, merging cultures, teams, processes. You seem to be doing very well at this based on the enthusiasm of the new team. Can you comment on how the process is going? Timeline to fully integrate the companies, and are you on track with your goals? Obviously, there's a lot in this question.
This is definitely a Pablo and Troy question. That's what they work on every day.
Absolutely. So as we have like a four-armed boxer, if you will, as Troy's working on centralizing certain nodes and SIRC nodes, centralized treasury, which Wanda's keep, and centralized accounting, centralized HR, centralized centralized finance division. All of these functions help the businesses scale at the subsidiary level. I'm working with them to improve their processes and procedures and increasing their sophistication level so they can work in the public space. And we meet in the middle. So obviously we have support teams. As we onboard a new company, we get better at it every time. And now we have a sophisticated process, and it's just it's rinse and repeat. Anything that needs to scale should always be procedural.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And just from a corporate structure standpoint, do you guys, are the subsidiaries going to be primarily siloed, i.e. with their own leadership and their own HR teams? Or do you see solar EV, let's just say, when and if we become solar EV, do you see all employees being under that umbrella operating as one non-siloed company?
Currently, as far as here in SoCal, we're going to actually change all the roofing solar companies, subsidiaries, Secure, McKay, Millholland, Montrose, Renovation, all our names here. We're going to change all of those to solar EVs. The San Diego market it's a big city, but it's a small city. You can really brand here and be the name and place. And we don't see a lot of reason to be branding solar EV without getting a piece of the market shares. We're going to, here locally, everything will be solar EV with like Cornerstone in South Carolina. That's such a strong brand where they are balanced, not a lot of reason to change them. US Solar Network is a possibility, but we'll try to get as much solar EV as we can. And then as we bring in more and more subsidiaries and installers, we'll probably call them solar EV as well.
That makes sense. Okay, great. I'm getting pretty fired up about this new name, by the way, but let's keep going.
Solar Rev.
Yeah, Solar Rev, Solar EV. Which one are we going with? Solar Rev or Solar EV?
Same spelling. It's the same spelling. It's however you want to pronounce it.
Oh, I know it's the same spelling. Are you making the R big or are we making the E big?
Oh, that's a good question. We've been calling it Solar Rev.
I like Solar Rev. Yeah. All right.
It zips on the tongue.
It does zip on the tongue. Yeah. All right. Great. You've got two little mentioned subsidiaries, SunUp Solar and Narrate. Anything you guys can tell us about those small subsidiaries?
When we go on some,
let me start with Narrate. Narrate was a marketing subsidiary that we put together. It was early on stages. It was a great plan. We thought it'd be a great moneymaker for us. It was scaling like crazy. We just ran out of money and we had to close it down. But Pablo, in his genius, took the concept, took the subcontractor we're using, he brought it in-house, and he's using it at U.S. Solar Network. So it kind of folded in the U.S. Solar Network. Sunup Solar is kind of Pablo's baby. He can tell you about that.
Hi, baby. We got a baby, Dave? Just kidding. Great installation team. If we can have 10 of them, we'd be in a great place. And so they have a business model of their own with a performer. Everything is now going to be model-driven, business model-driven, performer-driven, so that they have goals and structure in place. They're teaming up with another one of our companies, NREV. That's a sales company. Sunup is an installation company, and together they project each do $10 million next year in revenue, each one of them. Sales companies have higher margins than contracting companies, but if we could get $20 million out of the two of them, we're in a great place.
That would be another impressive task on Pablo's part.
Well, I do want to say that Dave promised. Would you promise me if we get that done? Something good.
I don't think I can say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll have to see if what that shakes out as. But Pablo, that's super exciting about Sunup. I thought that both of those subsidiaries, there wasn't much happening there. So great. Well, guys, it's 5:30 already. You've all given us an hour and a half, along with, I think, over 100 investors are on this call. But I just wanted to open it up to a couple questions that people have been asking. You guys have a few more minutes? Can we blast off just a couple of these?
Sure.
Great. First one is, when are you guys hoping that the Arbiter Capital is going to be funded?
12:15. 13 days, 6 hours, 14 minutes.
I feel like I can just hear Troy in the background saying sometime before the end of December.
We have a scheduled date of 12:15.
That's really exciting. Okay, cool.
I'm actually going there tomorrow to see him.
I'll be waking up early on the 15th then. What was that, Pablo?
I said I will not be sleeping. I'll be watching the phone.
That's exciting. Yeah. When will the OTC QB certification be filed?
I don't know what that is. What's the certification? I mean, we filed for the uplist. Doesn't mean
So it means uplisting to QB. So we're hoping to have our 2 years audited statements that are required in end of next quarter, 2022, of the first quarter. So after that we will file with SEC to become 12G fully reporting company, and once we're there, then we'll uplist to QB.
QB or QX? QB or QX?
Or QX.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to clarify because you mentioned the end of next quarter. Okay, great. So yeah, QX the end of next quarter. QB will obviously happen whenever OTC Markets gets around to it. It sounds like. Do I understand that correctly?
You do, but I'm pushing for hopefully sooner.
Great. Keep pushing.
He's always pushing for everything sooner.
Yeah, I can assure you, as an investor, we're very excited just to even.
Yes, I know.
So, fantastic. Thank you, Wanda, for that. Are you still comfortable with 100 million fiscal 2022? I'm guessing they're referring to guidance here, or might there be a revision coming?
100 million 2022 fiscal year. I don't know if we ever said that. I think we said we get to a run rate of 100 million 2022. And that, this third quarter numbers, I think, should answer that question.
To clarify that, yeah. Great.
Wanda and I look for numbers that speak for ourselves.
Perfect. And then, I'm going to probe. You don't have to ask it. Obviously, the next earnings come out January 15th. Can investors expect to see any sort of pre-earnings numbers or estimates before January 15th?
I'm going to let Wanda answer that.
No. Sorry. Probably we will be more comfortable when everything is reviewed and numbers are correct, and then we file. So, and we will by January 15th. So everybody will be able to see the numbers.
Fantastic. Wanda, I've got to tell you, it makes me feel so much more comfortable that you're keeping these guys in order and you've got a handle on all the numbers. So that's really exciting. So let me look through here. We already talked about that question to GetSolarEV.com. Oh, there's a question on the GetSolarEV.com website /installer. There is a list on there of, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe even 400 installer names. Can you comment as to, are those SIRC partners or what that is?
I have no idea what it is. I don't know if Pablo does it or not.
Okay. Yeah, it's an alphabetical order, and there might even be over 1,000 names here, and it's all under Solar EV.
Get Solar EV, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's GetSolarEV.com /installer.
Huh. Yeah.
There's a list under there, and yeah, so I mean, it's all public now. I think we all just want to know what that list is. We can always come back to that another time if you'd like.
I don't think it's a SIRC thing.
Are you saying the Get Solar EV website is not an SIRC thing, or that list is not?
I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about the website, to be honest with you.
Okay. I suspect there'll be a lot of follow-up questions about that. That's something you could look into and maybe follow up with investors on?
I could. I mean, I don't know of us buying that website, but it doesn't mean the marketing companies or, someone didn't do it, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm asking, Dave, is if you go to GetSolarEV.com /smart, beneath it says SIRC family of companies.
Again,
okay. Yeah. I don't mean to pin you down here. We'll move forward. You've already let investors know we're moving to Solar EV. So, between the Callaway Farms Poultry and Solatrack, could there be an agricultural company acquisition or creation?
Agricultural company, I think we need to stay within. We don't want to be a jack of all trades. We want to be an expert in
master of one.
The master of one. That's it. An alternative energy home builder. Sure, why? That sounds great. Things in our lane. Where we're experts.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you. That's it. I mean, you guys have been super gracious with your time. Did you guys have anything else for investors that you wanted to share?
Something I'd like to add just in closing is during the acquisition process that we're going through and the romance that we're going through, I had a great idea that I think the investors would like to hear about. As we're getting these acquisitions done, we want them to be part of our family, so we're asking them as we give them cash for them to take 20 to 30% of the cash, buy SRCs and shares in the open market and be part of the family that way, as opposed to us giving them shares. So it does a couple things for us, gets us acquisitions at the right price without issuing shares, and it gets our shares controlled by our immediate family.
Wow, that's incredible, Dave. When did you guys start doing that?
Yeah, we've been proposing it to our current acquisitions that we're working with, the ones we're working with to acquire, and all of them are open to it. They're excited about it.
Yeah, well, I would suspect, especially where we're at right now, that they'd be very excited about it. Fantastic. Thank you for adding that. That's great.
I have a nice piece. I had a little brainstorm one time. I don't have many of them.
I thought it was genius. We're like, yes, head down. Let's patent it.
Yeah, and feel free to PR that anytime you do an acquisition and they're going to be buying shares on the open market. That's super exciting.
We could possibly get the seller to put a quote in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he had to buy so many shares of Solar stock.
Yeah, fantastic. There's a personal question here, Dave, about your health. How are you doing? Are you feeling good? I think it was mentioned previously something about your health, and some investors were asking about you.
Yeah, I don't know if they heard. I had a mild stroke about 2 months ago, and completely recovered from that. I don't know if I feel okay. I feel great. I have a GI problem I'm dealing with. I have to have surgery in January. I get that done. I should be 100% ready for a big year next year.
That's great to hear. And no, I don't know if we knew that, but that's great to hear that you're doing all right.
I think we had a Q&A the day after I had my stroke, and I was struggling with it, and I felt pretty bad. I think I mentioned, hey, I'm sorry I did such a bad job, but I was fighting a little aging process.
we are. Yeah, Dave's as strong as an ox. We're taking care of him, and he doesn't need much taking care of, but we're watching his back. We're not letting anything happen to our CEO. We love him too much.
It's great to hear. Awesome, guys. Well, that's it. I mean, I was so jazzed for this call, so I really appreciate you guys giving all of us almost an hour and 45 minutes of your time. Wanda, thank you for joining us, and so excited to have you on board.
You.
Officially, even though you've been on board for 6+ months.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You're great. Very organized. Great. You have a great voice for radio. You're fantastic. I don't know if you're getting compensated, but we'll deduct some of your future PR costs.
And as always, thank you for our shareholders.
Yeah, we'll go golfing or something, and I'm really excited. Obviously, you guys shared some news that hasn't even been spilled yet on this call, so thank you for that, and we're really excited. So we'll let you go, investors. If you're still on this Q&A right now, we are going to be doing a giveaway, so stick around. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank the register for the giveaway.
Thanks. I'm going to disconnect. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Sir.
What's that? No, sir.
All right, everybody. And as always, it'll be uploaded to YouTube if you missed it or want to review anything. I'm going to move to general chat and roll for those giveaway slots. One second here.
MediaTek, sorry, I didn't know if you guys wanted me to stick around for the giveaway. If I just...
Yeah, I'm rolling it right now. I'm going to tag everybody. It's going to be in announcements here, so...
Great.
If you want to announce the winners, you can feel free.
Sure. Yeah, happy to.
All right.
And honestly, I'm shocked you guys are giving away a free Tesla, but
Oh yeah, right. Hold on, this is let me just add this. Yeah, just it freaked out. The giveaway bot's not in there. All right. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, there's the first one.
All right. Does that say Doc Nasty? No. What
Yep.
am I looking at here?
Yeah, that's just how it rolls. And then, yeah, it's Doc Nasty.
That totally figures. All right, Doc Nasty, you have won 1 year of Discord Nitro and a MediaTek shirt. Congratulations. I'm guessing what you're going to want to do is direct message somebody with a MediaTek tag.
Yeah, I will message. And if it's not claimed within, I guess, a week, we'll re-roll.
Also, Doc Nasty, if you are Puma Capital and one of the MMs, congratulations. We've got second and third place here, Z-Bean 11, and Too Late, Too Little Too Late. I happen to know personally. Congratulations, Too Little Too Late and Z-Bean.
All right. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's actually in it.
Yeah, I can tell you he is just going to be over the moon about having Discord Nitro and a MediaTek shirt.
Yeah, it's only classic, but, you know, good enough. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me stop this recording. Video should be up, midday tomorrow, probably.